When I first went to the toddler group, I was a bit surprised because it was held in a small building and it was all a bit run down, really, in need of a lick of paint. It wasn't particularly bright or jolly, but the welcome was so warm. You didn't really notice it. So the joy for me was having a 5-month-old Millie and 2-year-old Ellie, only 19 months apart. Life was very full on with both of them. To be able to go there and know Ellie was safe and entertained and looked after, and lots of people were keeping an eye on her, but people were also keeping an eye on me and, making sure I had coffee at my elbow and the fresh home-baked cake. And so while I had to sit and feed Millie, and though those sofas were shabby, they were very comfortable. They really were. And you could just sink into one of those and really not have to move for a bit. It was just the best 2 hours of the whole week. It was just all very informal and relaxed, but at the end there was always everyone circle time and sitting and a sing-song. And it was only then that a lot of the songs were sort of very Christian that I started to think this is a Christian group, but I wasn't overly aware to start with that it was affiliated with any particular church. I'd been going to Mums and Todd since September, and then Easter was approaching, and I'd had a few invitations to go to church. I thought I was a Christian. I knew who God was. I didn't have any sort of relationship with him or Jesus. But so I was very, thank you. But then Easter was coming, and Ellie and Kate's daughter Daisy were in the same nursery, and I found myself quite put out that Easter seemed to only consist of papier-mâché bunnies. And I wanted Ellie to know more, so I asked Kate if I could bring Ellie to Sunday school. And she was absolutely thrilled, of course. And then as the conversation went on, I suddenly realised I actually couldn't drop her at Sunday school and go away again. I actually had to stay in the service. And so I did. I was reluctant to attend the church for various reasons, partly a bit scared, a bit ignorant, partly because what kind of church meets in a school, for heaven's sake, and just I didn't know whether or not I'd be expected to stand up and sit down and kneel and the routines, because over the years I've been to lots of different church services for various different reasons and have always felt completely ignorant about just the routine of it. But when I arrived, Kate met me, took me into the classroom where Ellie was going to be having her Sunday school with all the other little ones, and then sat with me in the service. And there wasn't, apart from singing, that was pretty much the only time we stood up. And the talk was really interesting. I thought, yes, I can do this. I can do this for an hour and a half every Sunday morning while Ellie's getting educated in Sunday school. That's fine. Singing's nice. I was more and more curious, and I did feel like, a real interest had sparked in my brain. I was learning something new for the first time in ages. I heard people talking about home groups and asked whether or not I could join one, and it came back fairly bluntly that really you should do some sort of course first before going into a home group, such as Christianity Explored, and funnily enough, one's about to start, and would I be interested in going? It was sold under the headline, "There is no such thing as a stupid question." And I thought, well, that suits me, that's good, because I've got plenty of those, I'm sure. Because I was becoming more and more aware of just how, little I knew. So while I was doing the Christianity Explored course, our pastor's wife, Penny, offered to do one-on-ones with me, and I initially said I would just think about it, but then after a while changed my mind and said, can I still take her up on that offer? And she was thrilled. And so probably for a year, term time, she would come here to my home, and we'd just have a coffee and work through different sections of the Bible together. I felt like I was constantly learning and being challenged. And asking questions, she said even she'd never been asked before, so she loved that. And it was through those one-to-ones that I realised my head was sort of holding me back a little, whereas my heart was becoming more and more invested. And it was eventually in one of those sessions that I became a Christian. My husband Dave used to drop me and Ellie off at the school for church every Sunday, and then take our youngest Millie swimming and come back and pick us up again. He had later admitted he was quite scared he would lose me over this, but also admitted that all these people he was chatting to after the services when he came to collect us and over coffee were really normal people. And he found that quite strange that all these really normal people believed all this. He stayed resistant for a while, but then tragically his twin sister died very, very suddenly. And he then started attending a few services with me, and it was in the run-up to Christmas. So it was a little bit easier really to attend those services without having an agenda, because it was Christmas. He was very touched and affected by it all, and he told one of the ladies there that he'd give it 3 weeks. He then went on to do a Christianity Explored course, and Mark, who was leading his table, still remembers the challenging questions Dave came up with, but he obviously found the answers he needed because he told Mark he'd become a Christian before he told me. The enormous value of these mums and toddlers group is to be seen, I suppose, in people like me who get brought along by a friend and exposed to this kindness, the help, the warmth, the cake, the chance then to hear in a very sort of child-friendly way about Jesus, and then have that being a stepping stone to church, and then just learning and growing. And that ripple effect with my husband, and then I introduced a friend to mums and toddlers who then also did Christianity Explored and became Christian as well. So although it may seem very often that you're doing it for nothing, that's not true. I'm proof.